Welcome to A Journey in Song. We explore the experiences Manda writes about in an attempt at self-healing through creating as a South African author, poet, lyricist, and storyteller. And today, we are taking a deep dive into a really poignant piece of her source material, a set of lyrics called Cracked.
Right, and before we even really get into the lyrics themselves, we have to talk about the psychological catalyst here.
Hmm.
Because, Manda wrote this as an emotional survival strategy. The lyrics are literal evidence of a real-life healing journey, specifically focusing on somatic awareness and, well, radical acceptance.
Yeah, I mean, that why is just so crucial because I want you listening to this right now to think about the last time you tried to hide a flaw. Like maybe it was a literal crack in your phone screen, or a chip in your favorite mug, or even a metaphorical crap in your own state of mind.
Our immediate instinct is almost always to conceal it, right? To just pave over it.
Exactly, to present this totally smooth surface to the world. But I can promise you, by the end of this deep dive, you might view those fractures entirely differently.
Because our mission today is to decode that motive. We want to apply rigorous analysis to how a highly mundane and honestly really frustrating physical moment actually served as a profound catalyst for Manda to stop hiding and start this process of self-discovery.
So let's unpack the inciting incident.
Mhm.
The opening of the lyrics describes a scene we have all lived through. Manda is walking and she stubs her toe on a crack in the pavement. Now, stubbing your toe is usually, it's pure, unadulterated frustration.
Oh, absolutely. It's universally awful.
Well, it's like dropping your phone on your face while you're lying in bed in the dark. It just totally jolts you into a state of intense annoyance, and usually you just curse the sidewalk and keep walking.
Yeah, you just want to move on.
But here she writes that the pain flares, but then she cracked a smile at her own thoughts and looked down. How does physical pain trigger this, like, sudden philosophical pivot to a smile?
Well, it's a profound somatic experience. The sudden pain forces a break in her mental autopilot. When we walk down a sidewalk, we usually aren't looking at the ground at all. We are completely lost in our own heads.
Yeah, totally projecting our internal narrative onto whatever we have to do that day.
Precisely. But the pain of the stubbed toe shatters that trance. It instantly roots her in the present physical moment. And what's fascinating here is how the physical crack in the pavement literally forces a crack in Manda's train of thought.
So the pain acts almost like a camera flash, like it's jarring, but it illuminates the immediate surroundings. It completely stops her forward momentum.
That is a really great way to put it. Instead of just pushing through the pain and maintaining that blind forward movement, she pauses. The text says the pain flares, which is a very active, sudden word, but the reaction is to crack a smile and look down.
And the repetition of the word crack there is so intentional.
Right? First as the flaw in the pavement, and then as the action of a smile breaking across a face. It sets up this beautiful duality. The physical fracture leads directly to an emotional opening.
Which brings us to what she actually sees in that crack. When she looks down, she describes this very specific, detailed little ecosystem. She notices a dandelion, an ant, a soggy cracker, and a crumpled wrapper.
Yeah, the life in the litter.
Exactly. And here's where I want to push back on the usual poetic tropes. Because normally when people look for a metaphor in a cracked sidewalk, we just hear about the resilient dandelion pushing its way through the concrete against all odds, right?
The classic motivational poster trope.
Yeah. But the source explicitly includes a soggy cracker and a crumpled wrapper. Why include the literal unglamorous trash alongside the nature?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of Manda's internal realization, the inclusion of the trash is crucial because it establishes rigorous honesty. This isn't some sanitized, romanticized view of healing.
It's unfiltered.
Completely unfiltered reality. A crack in the pavement acts as a catch-all. It gathers whatever falls into it, so it holds the vibrant living things like the ant and the dandelion, but it indiscriminately holds the discarded, broken things too, like the wrapper and the cracker.
It refuses to edit out the ugly parts just to make a pretty poem. I mean, if I were writing this, my instinct would be to focus only on the flower to make the metaphor elegant. But a soggy cracker is pathetic. It's ruined.
It is.
And a crumpled wrapper is literally garbage. Someone threw it away. By placing them right next to the dandelion, she's forcing us to look at the whole picture.
Exactly. This juxtaposition sets up the exact parameters for the internal leap she is about to make. The crack is a complete microcosm of existence. It is messy, it is vital, and it holds both beauty and decay without separating them. You can't just pick out the dandelion and ignore the soggy cracker if you want to actually understand the reality of that space.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when we look at where her mind goes next.
Mhm.
Staring at the crack in the pavement reminds her of a crack in her wooden book rack.
Right, moving from the outside in.
Yeah, and from there, she notes that she likes the thought of a crack as a window to see through to below. This directly evolves into the metaphor of a crack in me, where someone might peer in to see her true essence.
It's an incredible associative leap.
It really is. It jumps from a pavement to a domestic piece of furniture all the way to the human soul. It's like a camera pulling back to reveal the macro after focusing so intently on the micro.
The progression there is highly deliberate. We move from the public sphere, the pavement on a street, into the private domestic sphere with the book rack. That creates a bridge between the external world and the internal world.
So by the time we reach the crack in me, the reader is already primed.
Exactly. Primed to view this personal internal fracture with the exact same observant curiosity that she used on the sidewalk.
But I want to focus on that window metaphor for a second. Because if a crack is a window to see through to below, it implies that the surface of the wall or the pavement or the person is otherwise completely opaque. Are we to understand that without these fractures, these vulnerabilities, we are essentially walled off from being truly seen?
The text heavily suggests exactly that. A flawless surface gives a viewer nowhere to enter. It is impenetrable. If we present a completely smooth, unbroken facade to the world, we might feel protected from judgment, sure, but we are also totally isolated.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy.
The crack is not framed here as a sign of brokenness that needs to be repaired. It is framed as an entry point for intimacy.
A crack in me through which someone might peer to see more than just that crack in me. That phrasing is so powerful, it implies that the flaw is just the doorway.
Right, they don't just stop at the flaw.
Exactly. Once someone looks through it, they don't just see the damage, they see the depth of who you actually are below the surface.
Which is a profound reframing of vulnerability. The very things we often try to hide, our emotional fractures, our past mistakes, our perceived flaws, are the actual conduits for connection. Without the crack, you are just a flat surface. With it, you have depth and interiority that can be witnessed.
So, what does this all mean for how Manda views her own mind? Because in the next stanza, she takes that unedited observation of the pavement and turns it completely inward. She wonders if she, too, has discarded wrappers and soggy crackers littering the essence of me.
It's a really brave admission.
It is. She is freely, almost casually admitting that her core essence might be littered with metaphorical garbage. It's like looking under the hood of your own mind and finding a complex engine, sure, but it's buried under old coffee cups and crumpled up receipts.
It's an admission of internal clutter. The trash in this context represents our unpolished thoughts, our awkward memories, the things we regret or wish we could hide. She's wondering if her internal landscape looks just as messy as the crack in the sidewalk.
But the wild part is her reaction to it. How does accepting this internal clutter actually lead to the stories she mentions leaking out? Because right after wondering about the internal trash, she says she smiled at the thought of the internal ant and dandelion, and suddenly a story drips through the crack in me.
The key action there is the act of smiling. Smiling at the thought of her own internal ecosystem, the life and the litter together, represents a huge shift from self-judgment to profound self-acceptance.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Because when we judge our internal clutter, we expend a massive amount of energy trying to suppress it. We try to sweep the soggy crackers out of sight.
Right.
That creates internal friction and shame.
And that friction just blocks anything authentic from coming out. Like if you're constantly managing your image and hiding your flaws, you don't have the freedom to create.
Exactly. By smiling at the entirety of it, she removes that friction. She accepts the mess. And that acceptance creates the space where, as the text says, words leak out and gather into stories. The cracks are revealed not as damage that ruins the person, but as the literal conduits for creative expression.
I also love the verb choice there. The stories drip through the crack and the words leak out. I mean, a leak isn't a flood. It's a slow, organic, almost uncontrollable release.
Right, you can't force a drip.
No, you can't. It just happens when a space is opened up. It implies that the creativity was always in there under pressure, just waiting for a fracture in the facade so it could escape.
That's a brilliant reading of those verbs. It's not a forced effort. It's a natural consequence of allowing the crack to exist. Which leads us directly to the conclusion of the piece, where Manda makes a very deliberate choice about how to move forward.
Yeah, she decides that cracks are not bad at all, but are the exact thing we need through which to see our own beauty below.
And notice her action plan for that realization.
Right. She resolves to linger a bit longer here between my cracks, waiting patiently and quietly as an ant. Now, I want to play devil's advocate on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Most people's instinct, mine definitely included, is to pave over our cracks immediately. If I find a flaw in myself, I want to figure out how to fix it, how to smooth it over so nobody trips over it and I never have to deal with it again.
Oh, for sure. It's human nature to want to fix the broken thing.
Right. But she consciously chooses to linger in that uncomfortable space. Is this lingering a difficult survival strategy because she can't fix it, or has it become a joyous creative necessity?
This raises an important question about how we view healing and self-improvement. We often treat emotional wounds or personal flaws as things that must be aggressively eradicated.
Hmm.
But Manda's proposing a completely different relationship with her own mind. The lingering is not a resignation. It is a conscious practice of mindfulness.
But isn't it uncomfortable? I mean, sitting in the broken spaces seems like it would just constantly remind you of what's wrong.
It might be uncomfortable at first, yeah. But notice how the text brings back the image of the ant. Earlier, the ant was just a literal detail on the pavement. Now the ant becomes a role model for her internal state.
Oh, wow, you're right. She wants to wait patiently as an ant.
Exactly. An ant is small, quiet, highly observant, and it exists harmoniously within the fracture. It isn't trying to pave the crack in the sidewalk. It simply lives and operates inside it, utilizing the space.
It's adapting to the landscape rather than trying to bulldoze it. So by lingering, by adopting the pacing of the ant, she is actively choosing not to fear the brokenness. She is sitting in the discomfort until it stops being uncomfortable and starts being useful.
Precisely. The lyrics propose that actively sitting with our imperfections, not rushing to fix them, not hiding them away, is the actual key to recognizing our internal beauty.
Right.
If you pave over the crack, you seal the window. You lose the ability to see the depth below entirely.
Right.
So the lingering is a joyous creative necessity because the crack has become her workshop. It's where the stories gather.
The crack is her workshop. I love that. That completely flips the script on how we view our own vulnerabilities. Let's bring this all together for you listening. We started this deep dive with a deeply relatable, frustrating moment, stubbing a toe on a jagged piece of sidewalk. A moment that usually just ruins your mood and makes you walk a little faster.
But through this incredibly observant, rigorously honest, lyrical journey, we traveled past the literal dandelion and the literal soggy cracker, all the way to a profound psychological realization.
We saw how a somatic break in her autopilot forced her to look down and eventually to look inward. She recognized that the internal landscape is just as cluttered with discarded wrappers as it is vibrant with life.
And we saw how the fractures in our lives, the parts of ourselves we desperately want to hide and pave over, are actually the exact places where our true stories are formed.
They are the windows that allow others to see our deepest beauty, and they are the conduits through which our most authentic selves can leak out.
The journey of this piece is just a really powerful testament to the value of acceptance. She learned to sit quietly in the spaces she once felt were broken, finding value in the mess rather than demanding perfection.
So, as we wrap up, we want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as you go about your day. Manda learned to find immense value by sitting patiently in the spaces she felt were fractured. If you were to stop trying to pave over the cracks in your own mind today, what dormant stories might finally leak out and gather into something beautiful?
It's a question of what we lose when we demand perfection from ourselves, and what we might gain if we just let the cracks breathe.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. And just a reminder, if you want to support an independent creative, you can find the music by searching music by Manda Menzies on YouTube. Definitely give her a like, share, and subscribe. We hope you walk away looking at the world around you, and especially those little uncomfortable cracks in yourself, just a little differently.